What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ, Bucky, Rhett. Buck, we made it to the full slate of games here. Are you ready to roll?
I mean, I'm ready to go. Nothing more exciting than the first weekend of the NFL season because everybody believes they still have a chance.
And they do so far.
Yeah, I mean, I feel. I mean, in terms of confident level, I think I'm gonna win the rookie draft. I feel confident.
Wow.
We're gonna get to these slate of games here. So we're gonna jump into some of our favorite games, and that's gonna get me to this. It's time for Hot or Not, brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. And my favorite game of the entire weekend, I'm gonna go Ravens Bills, boys. I mean, I think that's where it ended last year for the Baltimore Ravens, and that's where I want to start this year. I think everybody seems to be on the Ravens train. Buck, did you jump on that train? This is the year the Ravens get over the hump.
No, I haven't fully jumped on board. Like I have a ticket.
Oh, okay.
I have a ticket, but I'm not getting on the initial thing right out the station. I may pick them up midway. I may jump on when they kind of take a little pit stop. I may jump on then. I just need to see this team display what I call the emotional maturity to be a champion, meaning that they keep everything in check or whatever. And the problem is we won't really get a chance to see that during the regular season. They've been terrific in the regular season the past few years, but in the postseason, there's a different version of the Ravens that shows up. Can they learn from all of those hard lessons, those heartbreaking losses, to be a team that exhibits what I call that championship mindset all the way through? And then they carry that on into the postseason. So I have a ticket, but I'm not on the train yet.
Man, you got the two front runners for the MVP last year that ended up going to Josh Allen. Certainly could have made an argument for Lamar Jackson. But these two teams will be in play at the very end of this season. So I think it's fitting that they open the year this way as to kind of give us an early barometer of what this thing really looks like. I think we're going to see. I guess I'm curious to see the maturation of a couple of targets for Josh Allen and whether that can ultimately, elevate their offense even more. Does Keon Coleman become a more reliable piece for Josh Allen, this year? Obviously, they love what Khalil Shakir brings. They paid him in the offseason. He's kind of been, that reliable wide receiver target. Let's not forget about Josh Palmer coming over. I know they were excited about that. But Kincaid and Knox, kind of operate as heavy targets in that offense as well. I mean, and then James Cook, got paid, also. And so seeing the evolution of the run game there, I think we were all kind of curious once Stephon Diggs left town, what Josh Allen was really going to look like. And it just felt like this offense found a better form, without, force feeding, stuff on the ball. But I think it could use another outlet. And I think Keon Coleman can become that. Seeing that in training camp and in the preseason in person, I mean, he was the walking embodiment still of 50-50. Like, he made three of the best plays of the day from what I watched on one of those days, and then made two of the ones you'd most like to have back with obvious drops for what would have been big gains. So can he eliminate that, find more consistency? And I think you see an elevated version of this Bills offense that will put them ahead of the Ravens in this game.
All right, I need Kincaid to start coming through for me, man. I put such a big grade on him and had such high expectations, and there's been some injuries in there and some inconsistency. He just hasn't been what I thought he would be. So I'm hopeful maybe this is the year that you kind of see him take off. On the Ravens side of things, they have put an emphasis in their building on explosive plays, and with the run game they should be able to hit a bunch of home runs and play over the top and big plays. So I'm excited to see, with Zay Flowers continuing to grow and develop. We know the skill set he has. He's a pristine route runner, especially when he's working back to the quarterback. With Bateman, bring over Nuke Hopkins in there, throw him in the mix. But I need to see those first two guys. I need to see some explosive plays. I need to see them get over the top. You're going to have so many good looks with their run game with Derrick Henry to get over the top.
Yeah, they should have plenty of opportunities to push the ball down the field, because ultimately you run to win, but you got to throw the score. And they need those explosives to be able to put points on the board. So unless they want to depend on Tyler Luke becoming the guy that is the main point scorer, they're going to have to be able to generate some of those explosives in the passing game.
So I'll just finish this up real quick, and then I want to get us to another game that I'm watching, if we're good with that. I want to see Isaiah Likely, and I know that he's still coming back off the foot injury. Didn't practice on Monday early in the week, and so how that ends up progressing there, I think will be a big key as this offense kind of develops within the season as it moves forward. How much do they get out of Jair Alexander on the defensive side? That was kind of ballyhooed as quite a get, but there's a reason why he's no longer with the Packers. It's because he couldn't stay on the field, and he's been battling a knee issue there. So trying to figure out what's going on that front, because he'd be a real nice boost for that defense and the cornerback depth there in Baltimore. All right, we're gonna get you to another game. Obviously, one that I think is just on the marquee for Week 1. It's part of the late window slate on Sunday, and it's in SoFi Stadium. Rams and Texans. And I think for a number of reasons, but I think we all want to see what Matthew Stafford looks like, if he's got to take first couple of hits that we haven't seen, right? He's been back at practice all week, as Sean McVay said, as every confidence that he's going to be there to play on Sunday. But what happens when Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson get loose? Because, you're still kind of trying to work Alaric Jackson back at left tackle for the Rams, dealing with that blood clot issue, which is kind of, goes back and forth. And obviously you hope that doesn't become an issue at all. And same for Stafford. But I think that's one of the big, intrigues here as you get ready for this game is, how that team holds up physically on the offensive side with two of their, big time players that they're going to be counting on. Obviously it's Stafford and Jackson. And then I want Stafford to be there so I could see what Devontae Adams and Puka really look like in a game situation together, because we haven't seen that other than, and even when we saw it against the Cowboys in that joint practice, it was Jimmy back there, not Stafford. So I think that's curiosity number one for me in that Texans-Rams matchup.
Look, I think the Rams are a team that many of us have talked about being a viable contender. And one of the reasons are they're so balance on both sides of the ball. Like offensively, Devontae Adams coming over to really give them, I'll say this, and surprising, an upgrade over Cooper Kupp, given what Devontae Adams brings as a route runner and playmaker. He and Puka Nacua should be terrific. But at the running game, being able to sign Kyron Williams, keep him in the fold. At some point, Blake Corum is going to get into the mix. But being able to control it, running it, and then defensively, man, they just have a bunch of Energizer bunnies that can get after it. And their ability up front to win creates opportunities for takeaways in the back end. This Rams team is as thorough as you can find from top to bottom in terms of a roster that isn't celebrated, but man, they can get it done at a high level.
It's two of the best fronts defensively in the league, right? I mean, sitting here with the Rams.
Rugged fronts. I mean, there's no secret of what they're doing. I mean, they play with an edge, and they are fast, and they are physical. And that's why, to me, Ursery, the rookie left tackle for Houston, is going to be under the spotlight to see how he does against I think you could make a case that the best pure power rusher right now in football is number 8 for the Los Angeles Rams. So Jared Verse is coming. You better buckle it up, man, in your first start, because you're getting ready to see some serious speed to power that he brings to the table. So I like that choice, Red. I'm going to let you lump that one in, by the way, with our hot segment here, because that was this week's Hot or Not segment, brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Store more and do more with your data. Try them for free at wasabi.com. Buck, there's a lot of other games to choose from here. I've picked one. Rhett's picked one. Is there one you're cooking on here? Is there one you're looking at and saying, all right, this is one I'm going to be perked up a little bit to see what happens in this particular contest?
How about Detroit, Green Bay? I mean, you talk about the big blockbuster trade, Michael Parsons coming over. They put him in number 1, which I can't remember a Packer wearing number 1. So he has everything. So they not only pay him, but they put the target on his back with the number 1 thing. I want to see how he fits into this defense. So much of the conversation when it comes to the Packers is now they're a title contender. But Jeff Hafley has a tough job in terms of trying to figure out, how do I maximize his talents without disrupting the rest of the defense? And I'm having to do it on the fly. I don't have a full off season or training camp to kind of pick and choose what Micah does well so we can fit it around the rest of the thing. How does this defense look in transition? And then offensively, we've talked about Matthew Golden coming over and how they look. They broke the code. They don't take receivers in the first round. So he's an exception to the rule. What does he look like, the number 1 receiver from the gate, or does he look like the rest of the guys on the committee? And then for Detroit is, man, new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Like it's been a magical experience the last 2 to 3 years with the renaissance of Detroit. But now you got different voices in the front of the room. Does that change what we've seen from the Detroit Lions? And can they retain their mystique as the biggest and baddest bullies on the block in the NFC North?
I feel like they're almost kind of, I won't say disrespected, but kind of almost forgotten a little bit with the
Lions?
attention. Yeah, it's kind of, I thought the Packers were maybe kind of that team. And then obviously Parsons comes in and they're right smack in the spotlight. We've talked so much about Chicago throughout the entire offseason. Minnesota breaking in JJ McCarthy. And it's like, we're almost kind of like the poor little Lions, like they don't have their coaches anymore. How are they going to be? It's still a really, really gifted group. And I could see them coming out and saying, look, we got all these flashy toys. We're going to come out with our backs and we're going to try and run the ball down your throat.
I mean, it's going to be a lot of that now. It's going to be a lot of run. It's a lot of old school stuff. Jameer Gibbs should be the focal point in the run game. And I know David Montgomery is a solid player, but the explosiveness that he brings, I want to make sure he gets more touches.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna go rapid fire through some of these other games, and I'm gonna go just the one thing. Let's say one question you'd like to get answered with the remainder of these games. So we'll run through these right after this. All right, guys, I'm gonna go rapid fire. I'm gonna pick one of you. You don't even know who I'm picking. So I'm putting you on edge here. Rhett, I'm gonna start off with you. Bucks, Falcons. What is one thing you hope to learn from Bucks Falcons?
Have the Falcons close the gap on the Bucks at the top of the division? Like, is this the year that somebody knocks the Bucks from the pedestal at the top of the NFC South? And can Michael Penix in year one as QB1 really get that done? I am no longer asking the question, can he get the most out of Kyle Pitts? I'm just going to
let that one live.
I'm just going to let that one unfold. Just let that one be, and we'll see what happens with that one. But with Bijan Robinson back there, I think Michael Penix is set up for success. And home game against the Bucks, they played well against them, a year ago, right? So can they get this thing started off on the right foot and find a way to, knock them from their perch atop the NFC South?
Yeah, I'll piggyback that and just say on the Bucs side, Liam Cohen's gone. So what does that look like offensively? Curious to see from the Bucs side of things. All right, Buck, you are up next. Bengals and Browns. What are you looking to get answered in that ball game?
Bengals defense. What does it look like? Al Golden coming over from Notre Dame. They got a bunch of young, unheralded, no names on the defense. Can he fix it? Can this defense just get to where they're playing where we rank middle of the pack, where they just don't give up points on every drive? They can get a handful of stops. That might be good enough because this offense looks like an arena ball offense in terms of their potential to be prolific with all the point scorers that they have. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow is the consummate point guard. They can throw it all over the yard. Defensively, can they get enough stops? And look, it should work in their favor against the Browns. This is a nice opponent for them to start at, but I need to see that defense play better.
Yeah, and I'll flip it over to the Browns side of things. Like, who's going to be a part of their next good team? I don't think this is going to be a good team, but to me, this is a discovery year, discovering who can be kind of on this bus as we go, trying to be good.
We're already having those discussions. We're already having those discussions. We're looking towards next year. Who are we going to build around?
God bless them, but I don't see it, man. Maybe they can just pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Joe Flacco. Bringing him back, right? The 23 Joe Flacco, just throwing it all over the place. Let's see what works out.
All right, Rhett, Dolphins, Colts. Give me an answer to a question.
Lead my fantasy team to victory
there you go.
This week. But no, my question here is not even, it's Colts related. And does Daniel Jones showcase in-game opportunities, the consistency that Shane Steichen talked about that allowed him to win that job over Anthony Richardson? And can he remain consistent enough to keep Richardson on the sidelines and pilot this Colts offense for the duration? So minimizing the turnovers and finding his playmakers there consistently is the question I have here.
I'll flip it over and go, does Mike McDaniel have anything up his sleeve? You remember when he brought in literally a new motion that we really hadn't seen a couple years ago, and he was the innovator and the league was copying what he was doing. They couldn't wait to get that Dolphins tape. I don't want to say stale, but it just hasn't been as exciting and fun. So maybe he's got something cooked up. So I'm looking forward to seeing what wrinkles he's going to have in the first week of the season. Buck, you are up, and it's an easy one for you. It's a layup. It's Panthers-Jags.
Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence. Do we finally get to see the best of Trevor Lawrence under a new play caller? Liam Cohen did a great job of helping Baker Mayfield take his game up to another level. Now he has a chance to work with a former number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence. How does he get Trevor up and going? How does he blend Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., some of the weapons into it? And can he finally get this Jaguars offense to maximize their potential? My eyes are on that offense, because if they can get the offense going, they have a chance to be much better than many anticipate.
Yeah, give me Bryce Young and this young offense, all these young receivers they're throwing out there. We saw Bryce take the steps last year. So to me, you've got 2 number 1 overall pick quarterbacks in this game. What does the future look like for those 2 guys? Those are the excellent points and questions we hope to have answered. Rhett, Raiders, Patriots.
Whew, man, there's so many different things to assess here. But I think the biggest one for me is, does the Raiders offense show that they have more consistent competency, I guess? I mean, you've got better playmakers at running back. Obviously with Genty, you've got a better quarterback, a stable quarterback situation. And what do Pete Carroll's fingerprints on this team and like their kind of collective cultural competitiveness, like how does that kind of manifest itself against a team, the Patriots, that want to be as hard-nosed as any in the league with Vrabel leading the way? So to me, it's really about, does this Raiders offense put up more points, find a way to generate, more scoring opportunities? And then, does Brock Bowers catch 20 passes?
I'll give you 20 targets, I bet.
Okay, 20 targets.
Patriots side of things, it's the rookies, man. They are starting playing a ton of them. Will Campbell and Jared Wilson on the offensive line. You're going to see Travion Henderson. You'll see Kyle Williams. Defensively, Craig Woodson, one of my favorites from Cal. He's going to be in the starting lineup. So a draft class that I said was the best in this last year in terms of the value and just the overall number of solid professional football players they added in one draft class. I'm excited to see all those guys out there on the field. Buck, you are up next. Cardinals Saints. Now I'm anxious to hear what you have to sell on this one.
Oh, I'm selling the quarterback. I mean, Spencer Rattler won the quarterback competition, so let's see what this looks like. Regardless who's the quarterback, Kellen Moore was given the head job because of his offensive prowess. So what can he do in taking the parts that he has to assemble an offense that's credible, that's a threat in the NFC South? So what does it look like that Spencer Rattler is the point guard? How do they get the ball out of his hands? How does he protect him? How can he elevate him with his play calling? That's what I want to see. We've seen what he's done with other quarterbacks. What does Kellen Moore do to help Spencer Rattler look like a great quarterback?
I'm going to keep it moving because I know Rhett wants to jump in on the Saints, and we'll just get bogged down, and we just can't. We don't have time for that. Rhett, Steelers, Jets.
I mean, how do you move past the quarterbacks in this one? Both.
Hey, by the way, week one is a theme, by the way. It is the most important position in sports, and that's where the eyes go for the majority of these games is what do these quarterbacks look like?
Well, and there's just so much new about it, right? And they're both these two guys obviously flipped places. I think the Steelers offense with Aaron Rodgers is going to be competent. I am curious if that is the case for the Jets because it's not what we saw this preseason. Now, I imagine we're going to turn around and try to hand it off, with Derek Harmon out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They would try to hand it off to Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. But really, my biggest curiosity is does Justin Fields find ways to connect with Garrett Wilson that we have, because we haven't seen it really this preseason in training camp. So I want to know if he can maximize that connection there with Garrett Wilson. And then do they have, does Mason Taylor kind of quickly become the second option in the pass game? Because that's kind of what it feels like.
I'm going Darnell Washington with Pittsburgh. How much do they use him, and how much does he play? Basically, functioning as a third tackle, who's a human billboard. Who can also
they throwing passes to him. I saw him catch passes in the preseason.
I know. That's why he's one of the more fascinating players in the NFL. I can't wait to see how they use him in that ball game. Buck, Giants, Commanders.
Giants, new look offense. Russell Wilson. Can Russell direct this offense better? Do we have a Cam Scatterboo sighting? Do we get a chance to see him kind of get in? He only played for a handful of snaps in the preseason because the running game is going to be critical. We know they have weapons on the outside of Malik Neighbors and others, but can they run the football effectively? Brian Daboll found a way to win 11 games his first season by playing a ball control offense with Daniel Jones. He did a really good job of protecting them and setting Daniel Jones up for success. What is the game plan and the blueprint to winning with Russell Wilson under center? Because they don't start winning, then we start calling for Jackson Dart. And they don't necessarily want that to happen. Even though I may selfishly want to see.
Yeah, I think most people actually do want that to happen. Look, I'm going to go on the Washington side selfishly because I took this dude so ridiculously early in my fantasy draft. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, aka Bill. I pulled the trigger on him early. I think he's ended up being their lead back sooner than later for Washington. So I'm anxious to watch the rookie out of Arizona. Rhett, Titans, Broncos.
Titans, Broncos. Can Cam Ward be this year's Bo Nix or last year's Bo Nix? Or this year's last, you get it.
Yeah, they're playing each other in this game, so I see what you did there.
Yeah, so I think, look, the Broncos, kind of exceeded expectation a year ago and finding themselves in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback leading the way. I don't think that is the expectation for the Titans at this point with the way that their roster is constructed. But with a a really good offensive mind calling the plays and head coach Brian Callahan and a player in Cam Ward who has been QB1 since the moment they filled out his draft card. Like, do they find a way, right? Do they find a way with Calvin Ridley in company, with the young receivers, Chimere Dike and Alec Manor? Do they find a way to be competitive enough in December to where they are fighting for a playoff spot? I think that's my biggest curiosity with this team.
Yeah, and to me, you look on the other side, who's the Joker? We've talked so much all offseason with Denver of who that Joker is going to be. Is it Evan Ingram? Is it RJ Harvey? Like, who's going to be that middle of the field mismatch player that Sean Payton's been searching for? So looking forward to see if we figure out that answer. Buck, Niners, Seahawks.
Look, this is about Sam Darnold. They invested heavily in Sam Darnold, believing that he could continue and pick up where he left off with the Minnesota Vikings. Does he do that? How does Clint Kubiak set him up for success? Can they run the football? What does his new wide receiver core look like? Does JSN become the number one, or does Cooper Kupp slide into that role? All of those things are major questions. And I got to say this, the running game, because the running game is anything. Can they finally get Kenneth Walker off, or does Charbonnet take over and give them some of that running that they need? So many questions about the offense. That's where my eyes are.
Yeah, it's kind of a sneaky good matchup there. A lot of questions, a lot of unknown about those two squads. All right, Rhett, Lions, Packers, we've already talked about that. Yep. Texans, Rams, we've already talked about that. Ravens, Bills, we've already talked about that. Vikings, Bears, have we hit Vikings, Bears yet? The last one?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it comes down to, the part of the QB class from 2 years ago, right? JJ McCarthy stepping into the role and Caleb Williams trying to, maybe step into a little bit of a different role for Ben Johnson, right? To try to find that next level in his game at the level we kind of thought that he would be at as the number one overall pick. But I think, it's been such a roller coaster ride, at least from like public perception with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Like, can they find some steady, right? Can they find a way just to, I don't want to say be middle of the road, but just to eliminate the huge swings here? Because obviously you love when the arrow goes up, but like, it seems like every time it does that, we're talking about something going back down. So to me, in Caleb Williams' game is can he find more of a steady heartbeat? And then for JJ McCarthy, it's without Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, we didn't see him all preseason, but what does that chemistry kind of look like with him not having that time on task with those guys?
I'm ready, man. That was just a quick stroll through a bunch of games, and they're going to be here before you know it. As much fun as it is to preview these games, it's more fun when we can break it down, look at the tape, give us some insights on what we saw. So that'll be next week. We will have that for you. I believe, I don't know if the cat's out of the bag. I did post it the other day. Baldy's going to be joining us, Buck, on Monday.
It should be fun.
Rhett's going to be with us on Tuesdays. We're going to be doing the rookie draft all year long.
I was trying to get you to post a picture of my finger, but I couldn't.
Totally normal.
I couldn't get it right.
Is that like that all the time there?
Yeah, it's like that all the time.
Oh,
but you can straighten it out though.
No, you can't.
You can't straighten it out. That's it.
Yeah, that's bad.
Who did that to you?
Not Lavecchio.
Quarterback. Yeah. Vintage Lavecchio move. All right. We're here. It's game week. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.